rocking the county hat. Buddy, who's a fireman. Sean is out there fighting the fires. 15 days he's been out doing stuff. And some of his stuff that he's talking about is crazy in SoCal. And the fact that he just sent a picture of real Humvee, by the way, because they got the National Guard out there. I was showing Bell. I'm like, and Bell's like, dude, that's a real Humvee. I'm like, yeah, that's no joke. To keep away the scumbags who've decided to steal stuff. This is a solid move by people. Because when people are down, the best thing you could do is take their stuff. Oh, my God. But first, good news about the inauguration. I don't know if any of you heard this, Bell. The YMCA, yes, the village people themselves will be there on stage. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say, everything's in place now. I don't have to, my worries have ended.
There's nothing else. I mean, this is all that matters. We're going to see the dance in full effect, doing it on the stage with the entire crew. I'm pumped. I don't care about the rest of the stuff.
Does the Navy get special dispensation at this inauguration, since they'll probably be singing in the Navy?
It's possible. It's possible. It is very much a possibility. So a lot of stuff to get to today. Hegseth is getting grilled by, we need actors for this, right? We need actors because actors are hilarious. Actors will deliver something in a much better way than the people that are out there doing what they're doing because remember, in a situation like this, because he's going to get through, everybody already knows that. I want to remind everybody, if you go back to like William Cohen, so that was Defense Secretary under Clinton, 99-0 with one voting present. If you go back and look at what it used to be like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, by the way, 99. It didn't used to be like this. This is what it is. This is what it's become. It's become politics and only politics. And watching them really fight over the dumbest things, because it's all about the person in this situation asking the question. They know they're not going to do anything. They know they're not going to stop it. If you get to this point here, it's a done deal. So if you're at this point, which Pete is, it's over. You're getting through. Everybody knows that. He's got the votes. Otherwise, he would have called it off.
It is time to give someone with dust on his boots the helm. A change agent. Someone with no vested interest in certain companies or specific programs or approved narratives.
I like that. Look, do I know if he's going to be good? He could be amazing. He could be incredible. He could be awful. But we're not going to find out until it actually happens. And instead, you have people asking the dumbest questions out there and repeating the dumbest things that they can think of.
Our military is more diverse than it has ever been, but more importantly, it is more lethal than it has ever been. This is not a coincidence. Mr. Hegseth, I hope you will explain why you believe such diversity is making the military weak and how you propose to undo that without undermining military leadership and harming readiness, recruitment, and retention.
It's more lethal than ever because of the diversity? Is that real? I mean, come on. Or is it more lethal than ever because we got more weapons that are so awesome? Our drones are incredible. We'll blow you into forever, ever, and ever, and we'll blow you past that. It's not because of the pride flag. It's not because of the color of people's skin. And if you want diversity, why not? We just open it up to all diversity, right? So what's one thing that we don't allow? We don't allow a bunch of fat people in there. Why do we do that? Why don't we allow nutritional overachievers? People of size. The fatties. You guys get it? We'll allow them in there. Well, no, we can't because, why? I mean, if we're going to be diverse, let's do it, right? You hear all these people all the time talking about, hey, look how diverse we are, and being overweight is a good thing. And it's like, well, why not? How about this? We'll allow a bunch of people in there who maybe are pacifists, conscientious objectors, who want nothing to do with the military, but want a paycheck. They don't want to show up. It's okay, right? We're going to go all diverse. No, you're not diverse. The thing that binds you when it comes to the military is the person next to you, right? That's the chain. That's it. That's who you're fighting for. Yes, your country, but when you're out there fighting, it is for who? The person next to you. That's who you're fighting for. This is ridiculous. But I expect nothing else from politics in today's world.
There was a coordinated smear campaign orchestrated in the media against us. That was clear from moment one.
Of course there was. Hell, he couldn't even get through his opening little, speech he do without somebody yelling and coming in and going, waving flags and whatnot.
Addressing the recruiting crisis, the retention crisis, and readiness crisis in our ranks.
Members of the security force will remove members.
But you're not going to let women fight. Okay, we'll let all women fight. The guys, we're going to stay back. We're going to let the ladies at it. You guys go have fun. We're going to stay back here and see how this goes. By the way, in the future, and by, I think, the near future, men and women, we're obsolete in the battlefield. It's going to be robot on robot. Like, that's where we're headed. Drones, robots. Yes, will there be military? Will there be people out there, infantry? 100%. But it will be robot on robot.
I'm not a perfect person, but redemption is real.
Tim Kaine asking him, you cheated on your wife. He did. People make mistakes. People do stupid things. He did something stupid. Should he pay that price forever? Is there a place for forgiveness? I don't know. Did he beat any of these women? Well, where is all the, where are all these women? Why aren't they there testifying?
How many of these people that are grilling him have girlfriends up there while their wives are at home?
Oh, plenty.
Yeah.
Oh, plenty. And this is coming from a group that, by the way, Clinton, nice, right? Like, oh man, let's not talk about that. That's all Hillary. You've gotten, how about the guy in California? So if you guys don't know the guy in California, we'll call him Gavin Newsom. Gavin slept with his best friend's wife while he was married to Don Jr.'s ex. But enough. This is the game they play. It is kabuki theater. It is all about the people asking the question. That goes on both sides, right? Because you grandstand. I've got 5 minutes. Well, 4 minutes and 50 seconds is going to be me grandstanding. And then I'll go, what do you think of this? What do you think of this gun? Can women do this? And then we move on. That is politics in a nutshell. And that's what you're seeing today. And that's what you're going to continue to see for the next couple days. Now, I think some are going to get through a little bit easier. I think Marco Rubio is going to get through fine. Tulsi Gabbard, probably going to get through. You don't get to this point without knowing you have the votes. It's like if you're a prosecutor, the feds don't take on cases they know they're not going to win. Go look at the numbers of what the cases look like for the feds. They overcharge. They go and they pick the court that they want to charge you in. And their goal is to get you to eventually capitulate and take a deal. And if you're going to go to court, they're going to crush you. So most people just give in. So that's the feds right there. It's the same thing here. You're not going to be there unless you know you're getting through. There's not going to be a surprise. They're not going to open the door like some movie, dun, 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 and some surprise witness walks in, he killed my puppy and beat me. Like, that's not happening.
I did not kill the puppy.
Although, can I just say, that is so would be Hollywood right there. Dun, dun, dun. We'll have more of this insanity later because it is a little bit insane. I mean, it is. It's just the self-importance and self-aggrandizing about, look at me act the part. How dare you, Pete Hegseth, if that's your real name. Will you slay dragons? No. Jack Smith released this thing, and nobody cares.
Well, Adam Schiff does. He cares.
Of course he does.
He's so worried about this. He's concerned.
I don't. Okay, so he released it. Now what? Well, does it change anything? No, it doesn't.
He saw proof of Russian collusion with his own eyes.
Yeah, he did. And he's going to bring it up next time he has a chance, but it isn't going to happen. Not a long ball hitter. Thin neck. It is. I'm sitting there laughing because if you're on the left, you got what you wanted, right? This thing's come out. It proved everything. It proved the whole thing. And if you're on the right, you're not paying attention. And by the way, most people aren't paying attention because they're living their lives. They're not watching Pete. They're not watching any of this stuff. They're living their lives. They've got jobs. And Trump's already won. So you putting this out, well, we would have gotten him. Okay. But you didn't. And we move on. Speaking of moving on, not yet for the fire.
It could be the final round of strong wind before the potential for light rain arrives later this week. PDS, or particularly dangerous situation, red flag warnings are up today for strong wind and humidity levels down around 8%. LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley.
I urge, and everybody here urges you to remain alert, as danger has not yet passed.
Those in LA County high fire danger areas are being told to stay aware of the fire conditions today and to have a go bag ready. Alec.
By the way, that's what we're going to talk about today. We'd like to know from you guys. What's in your go bag? So for Ken, it's whiskey. That's it. That's all he needs. I don't know what you drink, Ken. So whatever it is, it'll be hilarious. And you, my friend, are Bell's all about the computer.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the only thing you take?
Change of underwear. You got to be safe.
Change of underwear and a computer. That's it. Bell's good to go.
Giant bag of cat food and 2 cat carriers.
Yeah. The cats, right? Like, what would you do with the cats?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That is a good question because that's the thing, man. Have you seen that guy with the dog? This guy that's in L.A. who lost one of his dogs and he got it back. And also a little soyish, if you will. But it is, when you see it, like you see hysterics he's in, it's uncomfortable. But then when you see him get the dog back, you swear the dog's like, I ran away for a reason and I didn't think I was going to get caught. I started the fire. It was me. But if you have a go bag, because my other buddy I've been texting back and forth with, he and his wife have their go bag ready because they've been put on alert a few hours ago. They live out in Pasadena, and they've been told, just in case, get your stuff ready. So what's in your go bag? If you were going to have a go bag, because you got to have a go bag. I'm not talking about a bug out bag where I got guns, I got 12 different cell phones that are burners, I got 16 pounds of gold. I'm talking about your go bag. You got to get away from the fire. You're going to take a memory or two. What are those going to be? Let us know. You can text the program. Love hearing from all of you. A bunch of other stuff to get to today as well. More on Pete. Is he an alcoholic? Now that's the new one. Mark Kelly, the astronaut, is asking him those questions. A bunch of other wacky, fun stuff, as well as some regular stuff as well, because that's what we do here. It is the Chad Benson Show at Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. Right now, they've got a great info kit that you're going to get. On top of that, you're going to get a new thing about gold in the Trump era, right? The ultimate guide to gold in the Trump era. And with inflation potential still there, tariffs may be on the way, debt, the weakening of the dollar, I can go on and on. Having gold is important. It really is. It's a great hedge when it comes to your retirement accounts. And speaking of your retirement accounts, the beauty of Birch is they can move everything over to a gold-backed IRA at no cost to you, whether it's your 401k or your IRA. Text the word Benson to 989898. They're going to send you out all that stuff. No high-pressure sale, but just a smart way to have a little bit of peace of mind in a time that there's some uncertainty, let's be honest. So if you want all that great stuff, all that information, text the word Benson to 989898 now to get your ultimate guide to gold in the Trump era, as well as their free investor kit. Benson to 989898.
Pete Hegseth confirmation hearings. California wildfires. Officials say life-threatening winds have returned. And here in Middle Tennessee, cocaine found in a 6th grade classroom. All this and more at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So when I was a kid, none of the teachers were hot and wanted to sleep with anybody. And there sure in the hell wasn't any cocaine. And it was the 80s.
Yeah. Well, not that I know of.
What'd you do today, kids? Well, after recess, we had a bump with the teacher, and then you know how it goes. Did a little yayo with the teacher.
Oh. What was it that Mr. Peterman called it in Seinfeld? Yam yam.
Yeah.
White Lotus.
That's right. It's like yam yam. You do a little yayo? A little nose candy? Oh, Chad. Hey, Ken, if you were going to have a bug out bag, not a bug out bag, but, you got a go bag.
Yeah.
What do you got in your go bag? Because over here he's got underwear, bell, and a computer.
Okay.
And a couple cats.
And some THC beverages.
I would have at least $500 cash.
Nice.
I would have at least 4 big bottles of water. This time of year, I would have at least a blanket, a big blanket for all 4 of my family members, and then one for my little Fritz too.
Oh, and let's not forget, he's going to have his phone because it has all of his Cannibal Corpse music in it.
Well,
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, you were in there trying to buy, looking at tickets for, what was it called?
Ghost.
Cannibal Corpse and Ghost live in one night only.
It's not. They're not opening for Ghost. Ghost is going to be at Bridgestone.
And then I would also have portable chargers for my devices.
That's the food thing is interesting because and I've learned this from the fires that I've covered. there's so much food because there's so many donations that food's not really an issue. The chargers is a smart thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big deal.
Got to have it, man.
And you know, now if the whole nation's going through something, like where it's a massive whatever, everything's falling apart, well then yeah, that having the food is great. But if it's an area that you're going to be in, right? Like, cuz if you're in Long Beach, the fires aren't coming to you if you're in Pacific Palisades. They're just not going to get there. So that's 20 miles away. You're okay. People can get there and get food, but it is that if everybody was struggling, then it's a different story.
Right.
And I don't think everybody's going to be struggling. I mean, if we're at that point, man, we're screwed.
My mom, a couple of Christmases ago, she got everybody in the family these little solar-powered charging devices for just in case.
Wow.
And I've actually used it, and it works.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I didn't need to do it in an emergency. It was kind of an emergency.
But you just wanted to see if it worked, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it worked, plugged it in, and boom, started charging.
That's awesome. See, like Bell and I are backpacks because he's like, I like your backpacks. They're pretty cool. I found out it has a charger in it.
All right.
I bought mine last night after he sent me the link. I'm like, I really got to get one of those. And then I saw that it had a charger in it. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is the choice. Then he comes in this morning and goes, do you know these things have a charger in them? I'm like, yeah, that's sort of
I had no idea. It's just, it is kind of an odd thing, right? It's got a charger and that's cool.
Yeah.
But like now both of us are like, well, how's it work? I'm like, I have no idea. Do I have to charge the bag first? Does it have a charger that keeps it charged on the inside, so you charge it up at your house and then it's ready to roll?
Right.
Some of those things are solar powered, but this one doesn't look to be solar powered. How long does the solar power one, man? How much does it charge? Is it fast?
It takes about 45 minutes, and like if my phone is like on 2, like just 2 as far as the charge goes, in about 45 minutes, boom, it's 100%.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Now then, the charger is spent, and I've got to get it back out in the sun.
How long does it take to get that thing going, though?
You know what? I've really never tested that. But every time I go, like at home right now, it is sitting on our kitchen windowsill where we get a lot of sun this time of year. And every time I go to it, boom, it's got 4 blue lights across.
Oh, look at that, ready to roll, man. You're
It's
almost
ready to
hoping
go.
for a disaster.
Actually, I'm not.
I know, nobody is.
Like, especially a zombie apocalypse, because I'd be one of the first to go.
Would he even take anything in a zombie apocalypse at that point in time?
I would have a long hammer and an AR-15.
Yeah, I got to have an AR-15. Headshots, right?
And
Like, that's what's all
I
about.
wouldn't use that for the headshot. I would use the hammer for the headshots.
How close are you getting? That feels a little close, man.
Well, I'm not a very fast runner.
Ken, where did you get that?
What's that?
The charger?
I don't know. My mom.
Was it a gift?
Yeah, it was a gift.
Is your mother worried about the end of the world?
No. I mean, her faith in Christ is. I mean, she's ready for it.
Okay.
She's
got
almost
a bombed
deep
every day
faith
she
in
wakes up.
Christ.
He's still not back.
Yeah. I've got a deep faith in Christ, so I'm ready. But I mean, it's one of those deals where I'm deep in my faith with Christ, but it's not dying that bothers me. It's the process.
Yeah, that's understandable. My mother, because my little brother's in a wheelchair and stuff, so she thinks out. She has, she goes to Costco. If I always tell her, you get to my mom's house, you got a good 6 weeks before anything could happen, food-wise. She's like, they've got so much food. It is ridiculous. So much water. It's like, I'm like, I don't know what you think is happening, Mom, but I'm scared. It's creepy. But the bug out bags are important. Everybody should have a plan, where you're going to meet if you guys get split up. Those kind of, so many people don't, and then they get in trouble.
Yeah.
So everybody should have a plan. Speaking of plans, we got lots of them. A lot of stuff to get to. We're going to try to squeeze in today. Some interesting, fun stuff and some serious stuff. All joking aside, like the Pete Hegseth and all this kind of stuff. New stuff about dementia that is kind of frightening when you think about the ages they're looking at now with people who are struggling with this and what the hell's the cause. Talk about that. A bunch of other things to get to. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Pete Hegseth getting question and confirmation hearings for Defense Secretary before the Senate Armed Services Committee today in our nation's capital. He has vowed to roll back DEI policies, which he says has weakened the U.S. military. And Missouri Republican U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt agrees.
Secretary of the Air Force, in a memo from August of 2022, thought we had too many white officers, advocated for quotas. And if you crunch the numbers, that meant that 5,800 white officers who've worked really hard should be fired. In the United States of America, I don't know how we got here. And by the way, the Air Force isn't alone here. The Navy sort of touted a drag queen influencer. This stuff is insane. And people wonder why recruiting has dropped off.
Democrats have been hammering Hegseth on sexual misconduct and alcohol abuse allegations, to which Hegseth responds he isn't perfect, but is redeemed through his Christian faith. California wildfires update. Here's Alex Stone.
The number of missing in the two big wildfires has now risen to 35. LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell says 2 more people are missing, but they believe they have found their bodies.
We're still actively investigating all reports of missing persons and have dedicated resources to these efforts.
The medical examiner here in LA County reports 24 people are confirmed dead from the wildfires.
Right now in Middle Tennessee, Channel 4 says cocaine was found in a 6th grade classroom in Cheatham County. The teacher arrested and then fired. Deputies say 6th grade teacher Mia King, arrested yesterday, was an English teacher at the middle school, began working at the school in 2023. A Cheatham County deputy telling Channel 4 King had been suffering from addiction. The school district said her personnel file listed no prior issues. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Pete Hegseth getting grilled. Wonder what it's like the night before. You got to go in there. You know you're going to get yelled at by some. Others are going to cheer you on. I mean, in front of a bunch of people. I mean, it's got you got to think about it a little bit. It's got to be on your mind a smidge. You're going to go in there, sit there, hundreds of cameras. They're all going to take their place. And then, they're going to at you. And then afterwards, everybody's like, and we all move on. But it's that anticipation, which I think eats a lot of people up. Like I said, though, if you get to this point, you win. That's just it. But it doesn't mean you get to ignore idiots. Christine Gillibrand here. Gillibrand. I want you guys to listen to this. This is spectacular. This sums everything up that you need to know about modern politics when we talk about theater. And I do mean it's theater. Here we go. It's going to be crazy. Christine Gillibrand, ladies and gentlemen, for your pleasure.
The women you have denigrated. You have also denigrated members of the LGBTQ community. Did you know that when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was in place, we lost so many crucial personnel, over 1,000 in mission-critical areas. We lost 10% of all our foreign language speakers because of a political policy. You said in your statement, you don't want politics in the DOD. Everything you've said in these public statements is politics. I don't want women. I don't want moms. What's wrong with a mom, by the way? Once you have babies, you therefore are no longer able to be lethal. I mean, you're basically saying women, after they have children, can't ever serve in the military in a combat role. It's a silly thing to say. It's a silly thing to say, beneath the position that you are aspiring to. To denigrate LGBTQ service members is a mistake. If you are a sharpshooter, you're as lethal regardless of what your gender identity is, regardless of who you love. So please know this to be a true statement.
Okay, I know that. Handbags at 20 paces.
Well, she said, if you're a sharpshooter, you're just as lethal. But isn't that what we should be looking at, is how lethal you are as a sharpshooter versus, oh, well, he's also transgender?
I don't care what you do outside of your time. I don't care who you love. And I mean this for everything. If you can do the job in front of you and your job is military, this is what I do. Infantry. I'm here to battle. Period. Case closed. End of story. This is what I do. I'm not here as a furry or an activist or part of the LGBTQ community first and then. No, I'm here as an American, as a soldier, as a comrade. I deliver it. Period. Great. If you're here to make a social statement, the military's not a social statement. You know what they're there for? Scare the bejesus out of everybody on the other side and blow stuff up when needed. Was it Patton that said about being a hero? Hero's not dying for your country. It's making the other guy die for his. Yeah, that's what it is. But this is all about the people asking the questions. It's very important to them to ask the questions the way that they do. You don't even like mothers. You don't like, they just go right into their overacting. Why don't you like mothers? Pete? Tell me, Belle, why don't you like moms? Could you not be a warrior mother?
Yeah, because that's what we need to do, is have brand new mothers back out on the battlefield taking a bullet when their kids are at home trying to just get raised.
And I'm here to tell you guys something. And as my military friends have told me, and this has nothing to do with the women, but it's about women. You fight in a different way when a woman's next to you. She may be giving as good as she is getting, but there is that thought. And if you don't think that's true, you're lying to yourself. And that's on the men for thinking that. But enough of the No, not enough of the charades. We need more. Angus King. By the way, Angus King, really cool name. Independent, very much like Bernie.
I was very disturbed in your opening statement where you talked about the priorities that you have We will work with our partners and allies to deter aggression in the Indo-Pacific from the Communist Chinese. There's not a single mention in this statement about Ukraine or Russia. Is this code for we're going to abandon Ukraine?
Senator, the president, that's a presidential level policy decision. He's made it very clear that he would like to see a end to that conflict. We know who the aggressor is. We know who the good guy is. We'd like to see it as advantageous for the Ukrainians as possible, but that war needs to come to an end.
You talk a lot about...
But what about Ukraine? Who's the war hawk here? It's the Democrats. But let me tell you another reason that they like blowing stuff up, like most politicians. Because everybody hears all this money goes to Ukraine. Actually, it goes to us, okay? And it keeps jobs in areas, and people are happy, and we get rid of a bunch of crap that we don't want, and then we order new stuff. So all of a sudden, the big circle of life that includes death continues. But then when everything is done, who do you think is going to rebuild Ukraine? Anyone? Does anybody have any idea?
I'm sure that's got to come out of my wallet, too.
Halliburtons of the world, the Raytheons, all of these people who love blowing stuff up. Blackwater. They love what? Rebuilding it.
Because they get paid out of the Treasury.
It is a double win, right? They're double dipping. They're blowing something up and then rebuilding it. They're setting a fire and putting it out and charging you both times for doing so. That is what goes on. And this thought about Ukraine, look, Putin, not a fan of Putin, right? I can be honest, he's not a good guy. And I think had he rolled on without our help, there is no doubt he would have eyed another prize. And trust me, the Poles are dreaming of it. Because the Poles feel like they owe a little something to both the Russians and the Germans. But they got shown how bad they are, how ill-equipped they were, how the oligarchs took all the money. So everybody's got paid. This thing will come to an end. But let's not forget who we're up against. China, period. That's it. Russia's not the threat. China is. Russia could bring other people into stuff that would spread, but themselves as a threat? No. China, absolutely. China's goal is to dominate the world. And if they're not dominating it, they're causing hell. Right now, if you guys don't know what the Road and Belt is, it's a big, giant, huge project where they're going to connect all of these nations with roads and the whole 9 yards, and it's all done through China. It's like this is their big initiative. What do? They go into all these countries. See, with us, there's usually strings attached with money. So if we go to an African nation and we say, we're going to give you $50 million, but you can't do horrible things to women, and you've got to do this, and kids need to learn how to read, and blah, blah, and they don't like that. China comes in and goes, here's $100 million. We don't care what you do. Kill your people, right? We don't care. Here you go. But much like if a gangster came to you today and said, well, I'd like to give you $5,000, and you're like, great. You don't think at some point in time the gangster may come back and go, remember that time I gave you money? Well, now I'm asking for it back. Or something else. Where we put stipulations on these things. But China's doing it to get into every place. That is their goal. Absolute destruction. So I 100% agree with Pete. And yes, we need to protect Ukraine. We can't have the Putin running all over the place. Some of this was our fault. And it's time to move on from that. Too many people are dying. Too many Ukrainians, too many Russians. Caught those poor North Koreans. By the way, if you've not heard anything about the North Koreans, the minute they got a phone, they went straight to the internet and their world changed. They found OnlyFans and a bunch of other stuff, and they were like, I don't want to go back. Well, don't worry, because you're getting killed, and you don't have to go back. More from Pete.
I don't believe that you can tell this committee or the people of America that you are qualified to lead them. I would support you as the spokesperson for the Pentagon. I don't dispute your communication skills, but I believe that we are entitled to the facts here.
Okay, what's the fact? Because they want the FBI check. What about all of this stuff? Where are these people? Why didn't you guys get it? Everybody knows who the lady is, but she's not going to talk. She got paid. We're all moving on.
I assume you'd be willing to submit to an expanded FBI background check that interviews your colleagues, accountants, ex-wives, former spouses, sexual assault survivors, and others, and enable them to come forward.
Senator, I'm not in charge of FBI background checks.
Yeah, you're going to talk to Kash Patel. He'll be here in a couple days. You can ask him about it. Hey, if we get Pete through and you through, can you get Pete's FBI thing and give it to us? That'd be awesome. That would be. Several people chiming in. By the way, Ken, the worry of the zombie apocalypse, you don't have to worry. There was a guy who went to a funeral home. He said not to worry about it. He makes sure, I don't know if he ties them up or whatever, if they can't get out. So much fake news is out there. No, there's not 8 generals with houses worth $90 million that burned down in Southern California fires. That didn't happen. That is fake news. That is a Russian information campaign that they spew out there. Just like Zelensky's wife had a new Bugatti, which is also a lie, because that's what Russia does. So they're playing the game as well as anybody else. Several people chimed in about their bug out bag. So the bug out bag and the bounce bag, I call it, is what you would take. So for me, I just care about my kids. Make sure you have the phone, and and that's it. But we have a bag full of stuff just in case.
Your pets?
Yeah, my pets. I mean, as much as I can. I mean, it's like, we're going to gather them. I can't count them as part of your family. And then in our apartment, it's much easier.
I dare you to bug out and try to leave those pets and watch what those kids.
I wouldn't leave them.
What those kids do.
I wouldn't leave them. But getting, it depends, right? Like if the fire starts and I can't get to them, and I have my choice between my kids, and that I'm going for the kids. But
that makes sense.
Like when I was living out in the Valley of the Dirt People, we had such a big property that, if they were outside and something happened, I couldn't get to them, but they'll find their way. That's what I'm noticing. They're finding their way in a lot of these places. And it's a shame because some people are, that's all some of these people have. But, you've got your whole family. But that dog and cat is part of your family. Absolutely. But when it comes to me, I make sure my kids are safe. Then we'll get the pets. Because I know my daughter would lose her mind if I didn't get the dogs and the cats.
My wife will have Fritz in the backpack.
Yeah.
She will make sure of that.
So Ken will be trying to get into the car, and she'll be like, no, there's no room for you and the dog.
My wife's dog is named Red.
Red.
He's one of those Chorkies.
Oh, yeah.
All he wants to do is sit on her lap and stare at her all day and have her carry him around.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, if Fritz didn't weigh 30 pounds, he would get that same treatment.
Whoa.
You got I thought that was a wiener dog.
Yeah, he's
a 30-pound wiener dog?
He's 30-pound wiener dog.
Wow.
Well, actually 28.5 pounds, but I just rounded it off to a nice
What's
30.
a pound and a half amongst friends?
Just out of curiosity, Ken, how did one wiener dog get to be that big?
Well, see, we thought he was a miniature, but we think he's a standard because we've had miniatures. He is our 4th, quote-unquote, miniature weenie since my wife and I were married.
Okay.
And, Bentley and Chloe and Shlomo, they were about 15 to 20 pounds, but they were also smaller than Fritz. Like with Bentley, I could fit Bentley. I could have his chest in my hand and his butt up against my bicep.
Are they long hair?
Easily. Well, Fritz is long hair.
Oh, I always wanted a long-haired wiener dog.
Yeah, the others were short hair. Little Shlomo, he was a dapple.
He was a what?
He was a dapple.
Oh, look at you. Look at you. Very elegant with the wiener dogs.
Yeah, I know those weenie dogs.
Our Chorky is AKC. It's got papers and everything.
So he's a half Chihuahua, half
Yorkie?
Yorkie.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. You know what our cat is? A mutt. He's awesome. He's awesome. A lot of stuff still to squeeze into. Several of you asking about the dementia thing. We're going to get to that next hour because I think it's really important. Also, as we twist it up here and go in a different direction, talk about the fires. One of the things that's happening out there with the fires is something that most people in this country don't pay attention to because not every state does it, but it is really cool with how some of these fires are being fought. We'll talk about that as well. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. This incredible supplement that you put on top of your dog's food. We're just talking about Rough Greens. We're just talking about dogs. Rough Greens for your dogs, Meow Greens for your cats. Let's talk about Rough Greens. So we had a wiener dog. His name was Doodle. And Doodle, we got him, a little long in the tooth. They lied to us. You know, he's 5 and he was like 10. We thought we were going to have to put him to sleep after a year. We started giving him Rough Greens because he had a hitch in his giddy up, and it was really bad, and you couldn't even get near him. So we started giving him Rough Greens. And this formula of vitamins and minerals and the probiotics and all this stuff, it started to change him, and it was noticeable. And after a month, man, it was a different dog. He had so much spunk. He was running around. He lived an extra 6 years or so that he probably shouldn't have lived. But he did it in a way that he was healthy and happy. That's what Rough Greens does for your dogs and cats. If you want to try a Jumpstart trial bag, it's a $20 value. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's that simple. Go to ruffgreens.com and use code CHAD. You cover the cost of shipping. It's a $20 value bag for free. Ruffgreens.com. Use code CHAD. Ruffgreens.com, code CHAD.
Insects and slime, and we'll tell you the food that it was found in coming up at 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I almost said 1,300 hours. I think I'm too wrapped up in this defense secretary hearing.
1,300 hours, Pete Hegseth. Oh, I hope we get through, sir. As we were talking about the fires, there was a dude whose dog disappeared.
Oh,
and
man.
NBC caught it.
Fire is literally on the hill where I live.
What's going through your mind when you see that?
I hope to God my dogs are okay. They're my family. I literally rescued them off the street. They deserve better than this.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
How do I get to my house?
While firefighters were able to recover one of Casey's dogs, his second dog, Oreo, ran out of the house.
You got the dog?
Yeah, this is my daughter. The behavioral dog, he ran out of the house, though.
Do you know where the other one is?
No, I have an air tag on him, but it doesn't seem to be working.
It's because the air tag. Well, listen to you, Casey. The air tag was taken off by the dog. So finally, NBC caught up to him. And this was a joyful reunion.
Oh my God, you're alive! It's a teary reunion between a man and his best friend. Casey Colvin's beloved Pomeranian went missing when he was forced to evacuate his Palisades neighborhood last week. He shared missing posters on social media.
I'm glad you found your dog. Feels a little bit much. And it was funny because his house burned down. That wasn't funny. But the dog didn't go anywhere. The dog escaped, and the entire time the dog just hung out. People were walking by taking pictures of him, just chilling in the middle of what used to be their front room. And then he honks his little, and the thing comes running down, and he gets super excited, and you hear the people go, calm down, you're scaring the dog. Don't scare the dog. Don't scare the dog. But that's the big thing that I was watching, how many people are struggling because their animals, fled and they couldn't get to them. And so all of these places are overrun with all these, like the Pound and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're just overrun with animals. And the cats, that's the big thing they're having trouble finding because cats tend to be, they're a little sneakier. As Bill knows, because Bill's got cats.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're con artists from the word go.
They are. They're probably the ones that started the fire. Blamed on the dog.
You know what? I don't know that I can argue with you over
My
that.
aunt used to have a Himalayan Persian that used to sit there by a candle and just flick it all the time and try to knock it over. And I'm like, you guys. A lot of stuff to get to. Hour 2, we talk a little bit about dementia. The rise of dementia in the younger generation. What does it mean? Bunch of other stuff. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
It is 1 o'clock on the dot this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Federal records have been released on Boar's Head. NBC says government inspectors documented unsanitary conditions at several deli meat plants, not just the factory that was shut down last year after that outbreak of Listeria poisoning. They say plants in Newcastle, Indiana, Forest City, Arkansas, and Petersburg, Virginia, described multiple incidents of meat and fat residue left on equipment and walls, condensation, dripping, and falling on food, mold, insects, and other problems dating back roughly 6 years. Boar's Head officials said in an email yesterday that violations documented in those 3 factories, quote, do not meet our high standards. Trump Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth getting grilled by Michigan Democrat U.S. Senator Alyssa Slotkin. This is on illegal immigration during the confirmation hearing.
Do you support the use of active duty military in supporting detention camps?
Senator, everything we will do would be lawful and under the Constitution,
Okay,
but
I'm
I
gonna take that as
recognize
yes.
that this administration has abdicated its responsibility. President Trump is going to restore
in the
order at the
spirit
border,
of preserving
prevent our
the
enemies.
Other Democrats, like Virginia's Tim Kaine, pressed Hegseth on alleged sexual assault.
If it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
It was a false claim then and a false claim now.
If it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
That was a false claim.
So
Just
you
talking
can't-
about a hypothetical.
Hegseth reiterating he is not perfect, but redeemed by his Christian faith. California wildfires. Here's Alex Stone.
After it hit an illegally flown hobby drone last week, the so-called Super Scooper is back in the air today. It had damage to a wing after hitting that drone. Now with a patch on the wing that had to be flown in from Quebec and approval from the FAA, the Super Scooper is back up and ready to battle wildfires. It's a huge asset in the fight against the flames. The FBI is trying to track down whomever was flying that drone.
Meanwhile, officials say life-threatening, destructive winds have returned and could persist through tomorrow. Some Americans will be getting a late Christmas present from the federal government. Jim Ryan says the IRS sending out checks to taxpayers who didn't take COVID stimulus checks during the pandemic.
The IRS has nearly $2.5 billion sitting in a leftover COVID account, and it's sending out checks of up to $1,400 each to people who were eligible for stimulus payments but didn't take them. The payments will automatically be sent in the mail or direct deposited to about 1 million people.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Wellness Institute of Nashville, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, go over and see them. Tell them I sent you, and I'll tell you why. Because I've been there, been in pain. They'll help you out. And right now, in honor of the Big 47, how about this? A deal of 47. That's right, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression in the Big 47 offer of 2025. Call 615-246-5009. Go over and see them. They will help you. Maybe you are saying to yourself, there's no way they can. How would you know? If it's your knee, they'll help you. If it's your back, they'll get you handled. That's what they do, and they do it better than anybody else. I'm serious. I have played sports for a long time. There's nobody like Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley. Don't walk around thinking it'll never get better. Go see them today. Hey, the Big 47 going on right now. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression in honor of Trump being president again. Take advantage of it now. Call 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. Six days away from Donald Trump being president. Really 6 days away from the Village People. Would you try to bring back the original? I think you would have to. I mean, I know you're not going to, but man, I would bring back all of them. Any of them could get out there and do it. You know what we're really doing, Bell? We're screwing up kids, though. Because kids now think the YMCA dance is what Trump does, when really that's not what it is.
No, not at all. That was actually a very choreographed song, too. I mean, most of their music was very heavily choreographed, but that one had a lot more to it.
They were very campy.
Yes,
as
absolutely.
the kids would say, they're very campy.
Both lyrically and visually.
Yeah, that's hence the reason why they dressed up. That was the time, right? Adamant. I saw it was my first concert I ever saw was Adamant.
Where?
London, actually. We snuck out. I was 13. We snuck out of a hotel. Well, we were like in a dorm room with my soccer team. I was with like the Olympic development team, and we snuck out with one of the guy's older sisters.
Is he from London?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a hometown show?
Yeah. And he was big at the time, and he was big. Yeah. And, stand and deliver. He comes out like in a carriage, like a horse-drawn carriage. It was just great. Dressed
Full
as
costume.
part royalty, part Native American. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember the war paint.
Yeah, I had the war paint, it was all. But alas, kids, here we are on this beautiful day. And we look up there and we see Pete Hegseth taking one for the team.
If it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
It was a false claim then and a false claim now.
If it had been a sexual assault, that would be disqualifying to be Secretary of Defense, wouldn't it?
That was a false claim.
So you
talking about a hypothetical.
That is Tim Kaine. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Hey, if you had shot somebody just for the hell of it, that'd be a disqualifier? What are you talking about, dude? No, I'm just asking the question. Hey, Ken, if you ran somebody over with your car and then you beat them with a stick till they were dead just for the hell of it, be a disqualifier to get a job here? What are you asking?
Yeah. That line of questioning was...
Because it's not for him. You've got to show everybody, look at me fight for you guys. Look at me fight. Like Blumenthal's all like, hey, I think you're a really good guy. Running this place, no, but I'd let you be the spokesperson for it. It's such a game. It's theatrics. And it's sad because if you go back, I went back today and I started looking at former confirmation hearings. And you're like 99-0, 93-5 with 2 voting present.
That was back when they were, I mean, let's face it, if you're a cabinet member, you're beholden to the president's policies. And it's always going to be like that. So you can quote unquote, okay a candidate who is really not going to have any more influence than the president has to begin with. So your issue is not going to be with the person heading up that department as much as it's going to be what's the policy the president has for that department.
Absolutely. And the other thing, Bell, and you brought up a good point. You're going in there and you're going to run this. Very few people have run any of. That's why Pam Bondi, they talk about Pam Bondi may be the most qualified AG we've had in a long time because she actually was an AG. Most of these people have never run anything. So, when you listen to Bell talk about that, you're going in there, you're going to get yelled at, and they're going to grandstand because it's about acting, right? It's about like playing to your base. Let me tell you a story about Pete Hegseth. And then they talk about something that has nothing to do with Pete Hegseth. Then they ask him a question like, hey, should rape be illegal? And you're like, what? Like, it's the dumbest thing ever. But that's what this is all about. It's about the people asking the question. It's not about the people answering them because they know they've got the votes. But back in the day, it was, hey, are you an idiot? Are you qualified, basically? Can you do this job, right? You don't drag your knuckles when you walk, right? You're not a mouth breather. You've got a law degree, so you understand the law, so you can be, I mean, that's what it was. Are you qualified to do the basics that need to be done? Now it's, what's your personality? Who you've offended on Twitter? What'd you do 23 years ago? I have no idea what his personal life is like. I have zero idea. I don't know. He did some stuff that wasn't great. He paid somebody off. What is that like? Well, I asked this question. Why is a woman in his hotel room at 3 a.m? He didn't kidnap her. That's a fair question. So this is the sad state of the politics that we currently find ourselves in. And then he's like, well, DEI initiatives are poisonous. They're poisonous. They are. They're absolutely poisonous because they divide. It's not about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's about dividing. It's about putting people in segments. Like you here, we need representation. I got into it last night, and I never do this because I thought it was a parody account, I'll be honest with you. I thought that there was somebody on TikTok, right, which Elon Musk is trying to buy, allegedly. So somebody was on TikTok, and I thought it was a parody account. I said, oh, this has to be a parody account. And then they fired back because it was something ridiculous. And we got kind of going back and forth. I don't know why. I was just sitting there. I just decided to do it. And she was very nice. She was very, very respectful. And I'm about diversity. Let's have diversity of thought. That's a fantastic thing. That's the only thing that matters. Everything else means very little. But on top of that, meritocracy is going to get us more places. I'm not saying we don't give people opportunities. I'm not saying we don't give people chances, because that's absolutely what we do. We're never going to improve the lot of people's life unless we give them the opportunities to do that. That being said, there are just certain things. You know what? It's got to be baby steps. It's got to be baby steps. Diversity, equity, and inclusion doesn't work when the people that are pushing it aren't interested in actually finding people who will do the job. They're finding other activists who will fill the role in these positions. People that will check the box and be activists for them so they can push their BS. Because diversity, equity, inclusion means dollar bills. It's that simple. And it is poisonous. So at my, give you guys a snapshot of what I do. So I wake up in the morning, I do my show. So my national show, that's me, that's my business and my partners. And then I used to work at a station in Arizona. And I was a contractor. So it's really weird the way that worked. I was an employee, but they had to do these diversity, equity, inclusion classes. And if you've been in any class, you guys know how crazy they are. Well, our old producer, his name was Pablo. I love me, Pablito. We would have to, I'd sit there because I didn't have to do them. And I'd watch them do these classes where there's like 8 different people in their Zoom calls. And he would come off there angry and pissed. And for 3 days, I joke about how much he hates white people. Colonizers. You're colonizers. And I'm thinking, this isn't helping anybody. It isn't. None of that stuff helps. Because it's a business. And guess what? You want to push it, in the department of whatever, okay. But there's some things that are just so ridiculous. And the military is one of them. No, we don't need drag queens trying to, go out and recruit. We don't need that. You know what we need? You're a military person. Talk about your experiences. Talk about that. Because that helps. And if you don't think that helps, one of the things that hurt the military last year was all of the guys and gals who would go on to TikTok and talk about how much they hated being in the military. And that hurt them. You know what didn't help them? There's not a drag queen out there going, you know what? I'm thinking about putting the candelabra down for a minute. And joining the Navy. Oh. What's your drag name?
Mine? Mm-hmm. I don't have one, sir. Thank you, though.
Everybody's got a drag name.
No, that is untrue.
What is it? Is it your first pet and the street you were born on or you lived on first?
Cindy Greenyards? What the hell is that? What kind of name is that?
I'm Dubois Britton.
Mine is Tiger Lindenwood.
That's a great name.
That one actually sounds decent.
Now coming to the stage, put your hands together for Tiger Lindenwood. Woo!
I danced to Survivor.
Would you know what? You should do you got to do the flash dance though. You got to sit on the chair and lean up and have the bucket pulled.
The chair would probably break.
I'd love the beard. What would you do with the beard, man?
Oh, I'd keep it. I'd just put glitter in it.
Oh, you got to remember, there's not a lot of choice on his part when it comes to that beard because his wife ain't having him take it off.
Really? How long have you had that?
I've had this. Well, I've had a goatee since 1988. But my wife and we started dating in 92. And one time I shaved it, came into the living room, and she goes, grow it back.
Glue it back on.
Whoa. Man, my daughter saw me 2 years ago, the first time without facial hair because I shaved it up a little too close.
Yeah.
And she was just like, nope.
Freak her out.
It did. It
like,
did. It
this is
weirded
not
her
my
out.
father.
She's like, I don't know who you are, but you're not my dad. By the way, several of you are chiming in on your stage names.
How old's your daughter?
6.
Oh, yeah. She must have been totally confused.
Bismarck Diamond, phenomenal drag name. Dickie Ivy Sandy. Muffy Forrest.
Oh.
All right. Let's keep it clean, people.
That's a great name.
Let's keep it clean.
That is clean. That's somebody's name. Look, I am Bridget Dubois. I'm the leader of our group here. That was my I don't know why I had a cat and his name was Dubois. I was like 5. It must have been a book I read or something. But it was Dubois, and then we lived on Britain. So I was Dubois Breton. Fantastique. Oh, my Lord. So much stuff to get to. We are going to get to the dementia thing because I think it's important because I'm at that age. I don't have any friends who are, but, you get to a certain age and you start thinking to yourself, like, okay, when is just I forgot, I'm grasping for a name and something else that's really serious. Like, when do I go from grasping to a name to, President Biden? Like, those are the in-betweens of it all. Sundowner syndrome, all that stuff. Because I remember my grandpa and grandma both started to go downhill. It was little things, but you thought, they're older. But then it went fast. And it was crazy. It was. So we'll talk about that. A lot of other good stuff, including who's helping fight the fires, which is awesome. And one of the things that several people asked over the last couple of days, and I love how you guys are still shooting us your drag queen names. And if you don't know what your drag queen name is, it is the name of your first pet and the street that you remember, first street you remember as a child. All right, so don't give us a name to make it cool. Just give it to us for real, okay? What was your name again, Belle? Cindy
Greenyards.
That's a great name right there.
That's terrible.
Get you a rack. It'll be great. Ladies and gentlemen, come to the stage, Cindy Greenyards. Woo! It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks. Yeah, baby. Set your lineup with Prize Picks and win. That's what I did last night. So what is Prize Picks? Okay, first of all, how about winning 1,000 times your money? And it is so easy to do. In fact, they got a new thing now with MasterCard, so boom, your money can come to you quickly. You play your first lineup of $5, they're going to give you a $50 bonus right away. All right, so you download the app and away you go. So your lineup may look like this. So we got football. It's the playoff season, right? So last night, Sam Darnold said he was going to throw for over 200 yards. Matthew Stafford said he was going to throw for over 250 yards. Boom, win on both of those things. That's your lineup. It's that simple. The more you play, the more you earn, and it's great. I love it. Keeps the game fun. And yes, it is the playoff time, so take advantage of it. They got everything, sports that you could think of, right? Outside of highlight, they've got it all. So take advantage of this right now. Prize Picks, get that $50 advantage. All right? So what you do is you go download the app, Prize Picks. Then from there, Chad. That's the code you use. You're going to get a $50 immediate bonus the minute you play your first $5 lineup. Use code Chad, $50 immediately the minute you play your lineup of just $5. That's it. Prize Picks, run your race.
Mold, insects, liquid dripping from ceilings into the meat. Details coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
14 tickets to Donald Trump's inauguration in Washington, D.C. You can order them through your congressional representatives, and then they do a lottery. Now, you might want to know, when am I going to D.C.? Well, I'm not actually going. I just figured it was a tiny way that I could protest, and if thousands of Democrats or non-woo-woo Republicans ordered mass amount of tickets and then didn't show up, how upset Donnie will be with all those empty seats.
God, you are so brave. I have, very rarely do I see bravery like that. It's just, again, that's your goal. All right, I can get 14 seats. And once it happens, man, I'm not showing up, and that'll show him. Let me tell you what it's going to be like. Now, we're sending Brian out there. So Brian Wilson is going to be out, thanks to, is it Busy Bee sent him out there? So he's going to be out there. This is like his final big thing. He's going out there, right? He is. And the reason he's going out there is because Bell wouldn't go. So we're sending Brian out there. And now you wouldn't go to
the last time that we sent Brian anywhere, it was January 6th of, what was it, 2020?
Yeah.
21.
How'd that work?
Okay, and he was supposed to be doing just kind of on-the-scene reports, and it turned out him witnessing January 6th. So who knows what's going to happen this time?
This is just, I wouldn't go to this for several reasons. One, there's nothing about it that is interesting. I wouldn't mind going to a party at night, right? Like, that'd be fun, like at the YMCA, and if that Kid Rock's playing all, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. But, okay, so I'm going to stand a quarter of a mile to a half a mile away with hundreds of thousands of people I don't know in the cold to see a person I can barely see put his hand over a Bible, get sworn in, listen to a bunch of people that I don't care about give speeches. I don't know what's worse, that or a parade. Because parades are awful. You guys will learn that. I think parades are
I've never liked parades.
They're silly. Now, so check this out. I've got a reverse parade. You guys ready for this?
Yes, sir.
None of the floats move. They do their thing. You just choose to walk by them as fast as you want. How great's that? Because that way, if you want, you could zip through it and be done.
Yeah, you're done.
I don't want to get stuck because I don't know how many times, right? Because, Southern California, we've got the Rose Parade. So as a child, once or twice, you're dragged out to this because for whatever reason, your family's like, look, I really hate you. I want to wake you up early, take you out to somebody's neighborhood, make you sit there to watch a bunch of marching bands who really aren't very good at marching stuff, walk by and play marching band music. There's only so many high schools I can see. So, and then what happens is something will happen, something breaks down, and then we got somebody in front of us that I don't care about. It's just, no. So parades and the inauguration. Like, I care about what happens after the inauguration. I don't care about that. I hope Trump says, I do, and then boom, let's get this over with. I'm gone. I got stuff to do. I'm busy. By the way, many of you are chiming in on your... Dude, what's been the best one you've seen, Bell? So many drag names.
Honestly, there have been a ton of extremely funny ones that have come out.
Festus Finley. I love that one. Taylor Cleopatra. So if you guys don't know, we're talking about drag names because that's going to be the new thing in the, you're not going to get a rank when it comes to the military. You're just going to get because that's what the left wants. So we're talking about drag names. So your drag name is this. It is your first pet and then the first street you grew up on or you can remember. Satan Flamingo. Ginger Catalina. Oh, God, that is a name. Hound Dog McGinnis. Dumpling Barnes. What was your name again, Ken?
Tiger Lindenwood.
Oh, Tiger Lindenwood. And Cindy Lou who? What was Bell's name? Cindy
Greenyards.
Cindy Greenyards.
Come on, you got to remember it, man. This is going to be like a big moneymaker for us.
Cinderella Lake Drive. Coco Vine. This is what it's all about, people. Coco Vine. That sounds like a Scruffy Bianco.
Did you say somebody said dumpling buns?
Yeah. Bear Clinton. Ralph 8th place. Snoopy Albert. Had that one time. Coming up, dementia. It's not a good thing. And it seems to be things that happen to us a lot older or happening to a lot younger. Dementia, the mind thing is scary, man. And everybody in the world has been in some way, shape, or form touched by somebody who's had dementia.
Yep.
It is just like cancer. It is not 6 degrees of separation. It's usually 1 or 2. We're going to talk about that, among other things, right here on the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. A federal report on the Boar's Head Listeria outbreak claims the U.S. Department of Agriculture documented insects and slime at Boar's Head plants dating back 6 years. The inspection records just released in response to Freedom of Information Act requests from media. Boar's Head, according to this report, stopped making liverwurst in September after more than 60 people in 19 states got sick, including 10 who died, tied to this listeria poisoning. As for the USDA, officials there promising new measures to control listeria in plants that make ready-to-eat foods, including broader testing, updated training and tools, increased inspections, more food safety reviews, and stronger oversight of state inspectors. The confirmation hearing of President-elect Trump's nominee to run the Department of Defense is over. Democrats tried to paint him as a sexist and someone who can't be trusted due to allegations of sexual misconduct and alcohol abuse. Hegseth's response to much of that?
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
And Los Angeles wildfires update.
Remain alert as danger has not yet passed.
Fire Chief Kristen Crowley telling this morning's briefing life-threatening, destructive, widespread winds have kicked up again. They'll probably persist through tomorrow. And new research finds dementia cases expected to double in the U.S. by the year 2060 to climbing to about 1 million new patients a year. We get details from ABC News medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton.
This is a large community study involving over 16,000 people, nearly 30 years of data, and they're looking to project the rate of dementia, but also find out our individual risks. For adults over 55, it was found that there is an up to 42% risk of developing dementia within the lifetime. That's a 4 out of 10 chance if you live long enough. Women seem to carry the heavier burden of dementia, likely secondary to the fact that women live longer.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I love it when you guys help. I know I'm new here, but you treat me so well. Somebody just texted and said, hey, Chad, you can use your drag names for your brothel. We're starting an AI brothel. You're welcome. Dementia's, like, there's some things that terrify me. Like dementia, Alzheimer's. I saw it with my grandfather and my grandmother. And to watch it, everybody listening, but we're going to deal with it. The longer we live, the more that we're going to have to deal with this stuff. And we talk about politics and all this other stuff, and that stuff's important, but this stuff touches every one of us. We're all, at some point in time, either going to be facing it or at some point in time going to be taking care of it. And maybe both. Because that's the other part of it. A lot of times, you're watching your mother, your father, your grandmother, somebody like that who's got dementia, and you're thinking to yourself, is this where I'm going? Because a new study out, your kid talk about, play it again, about dementia, in particular, the young. And by young, I mean 55. Not old, not young. Too old to be in the club, but not old, like you should be in the nursing home.
This is a large community study involving over 16,000 people, nearly 30 years of data, and they're looking to project the rate of dementia, but also find out our individual risks. For adults over 55, it was found that there is an up to 42% risk of developing dementia within the lifetime. That's a 4 out of 10 chance if you live long enough. Women seem to carry the heavier burden of dementia, likely secondary to the fact that women live longer.
And it seems to be one of those things, the longer we live, the more we have a chance of getting something. But we're not talking about somebody who's 83. We're talking about people who are 55 and above. And that's the scary part. We're not in a position to handle a gazillion people who are 60 and who have to go into home. That's not there. So what are the risk factors? That's important. Let's get it straight. We want to know exactly what. Tell us what the risk factors are.
Certain factors increase our risk that we know about. For example, the genetic marker, APOE. This is a known risk factor for Alzheimer's disease, and disparities continue. African Americans have higher rates of the risk of dementia in their lifetime compared to white Americans.
Racism. Why? That's what they need to find out. But the cholesterol side of stuff, several of you said it's cholesterol. Yeah, there's so much factors that go into it. Then the question is, when do I check? How do I check? Because it's a slow thing. Currently, my wife's uncle, a wonderful human being, got diagnosed maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And it's tough because he's still there, but he understands what he's going through because there are moments. And it's terrifying. Because you know what's going to happen. You're heading into it. And you're hoping and you're praying and you're thinking, what do they have out there? What can I do to prolong where I'm at?
Forgetting your keys is normal, and that's expected. But if your memory issues are interfering with your daily life, if you're forgetting where you are in familiar places, if you're forgetting important names or people, or you're not understanding something unless it's immediately happening, these can be signs of serious memory issues for which you should get evaluated, because early intervention can help to slow cognitive decline and improve quality of life, which is why it's so important to get checked.
And that right there is, so we know this. So if I come in one day and Bell doesn't recognize me, that's a problem. Could it be a little bit of a stroke, party too hard, whatever it is, right? Old rock and roll days, I don't know.
Combination of both.
But that's a problem. But if you are like my grandfather, I remember when my uncle and I realized, okay, something was up. They went out to dinner. He calls me, says, Chad, I said, Carmen and I took Grandpa out to dinner. And I said, we got home and to his house. We gave him a hug, goodbye. And he goes, we started to drive away. We look at him get in his truck and he takes off. And we're like, where's he going? And he goes, we chased him down and he said he was going to dinner. And that's when you knew, time to take the keys away. The big thing, can you prevent it?
A prior study from 2020 shows that up to 40% of the dementia diagnoses are preventable if we control and modify our lifestyle. For example, controlling our blood pressure, making sure that we're managing our diabetes, getting regular physical activity, and getting our hearing checked. These are all factors that if we control them, we can reduce our individual risk.
The hearing thing is rather interesting because they pointed out that you might want to get hearing aids. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people out there, it's the loss of being able to communicate and almost sinking into yourself. But one thing that they've noticed here, and reading the study as much as I could, I'm going to wait for the movie. It's not as exciting as I thought it was going to be, is the fact that so much of it is also your attitude, staying active, working out, being not just like working out, getting fit, but being mentally fit, hanging out with people. And I that is such a big deal. Having a positive attitude. Whenever they talk to a vast majority of people who live just so damn long, so much of it is the fact that they had a great outlook on life. Everything was half full. Everything was, it was a great thing. Oh, we're going forward, half full. That's what was great. And having almost that attitude of childlike is great. Being able to do crossword puzzles, because your brain is a muscle, and keeping it sharp is super important. And I don't think people realize that. But it is absolutely like an imperative. And they're talking about, between now and 2060, which is only 35 years, a large swath of a younger generation. Like, I'll be 90 at that point, still around. If it's happening to me at that point in time, well, I'm 90. I lived a pretty good life. But if my kids are in their 50s and 40s and they're struggling with it, as have you seen a massive rise over the last several years of cancer that you wouldn't think a 24-year would have. A 24-year-old's got colon cancer, or they've got, and you're like, what? What's going on? Some of it's obviously the diet. I don't know if you're aware of this. We don't eat well. We've talked about that. In fact, we don't eat well at all. But there's a lot that goes into it. And so much of what we do, man, it is so preventable. Don't smoke. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. And if you do a little drinking and this, that, and the other, don't abuse it. Eat a little bit better. Work out a little bit more. Don't be alone. And I think that's going to be a bigger issue. That's why, all joking aside about the AI dolls, the cool thing about what's coming with being able to interact with something, even if, yes, we joked about the AI dolls, but having that opportunity like they do in Japan, and the one in Japan is pretty neat. So they're in all these nursing homes. It's just a little head. Like, it looks like an alarm clock with a digital face. But the elderly people in these homes love them because it kind of keeps track of their life, reminds them of things to do, and it keeps them company. And you'd like to think that, we as human beings would keep each other company, but, I don't know that. I always look at my kids. I always tell my mom, if something goes wrong with you, we're just going to roll you in the street. Do you know who this lady is? Never seen her before in my life.
That is just flat out terrible.
Oh, that's what she told us to do, though. I said, Mom, I'm going to put you in a cannon, and away you go. This will be awesome, right? But there is a fear. Like, like every one of us. Like, I'm sure, Ken, I'm sure you've known people.
My maternal grandfather.
And it's just devastating.
Yeah, it's he became very agitated and would actually curse and was very hateful.
Yeah.
At times, to my grandmother.
That was my grandmother to my grandfather. My grandmother was the most Bible-toting person. Like, we'd come home, and she'd have the poor little Mormon kids in the corner, like, terrified. And she's like, she's totally pulling, the Carrie, the mom. Mm-hmm. She's doing one of those things. They're all going to laugh at you. Just totally going. We're just like, Grandma, let him go. And then she became vile, sexual, angry, hateful.
Yeah.
And it was just, and then, of course, you started seeing the sundowners and stuff like that.
Right.
How long did you see a slow build, or was it kind of quick?
It was a slow build. I had moved away from my family, so I didn't see my grandfather on a regular basis like my mother did, his daughter. But, she would talk about it, and eventually he had to go into a facility where at the time of his death, I don't think he had lost all consciousness of who everyone was, but he had gotten to a point to where he couldn't take care of himself. My grandmother couldn't take care of him. And it was very sad.
Somebody you see as somebody as a kid growing up as a strapping, strong guy who is all of the things, and instead he's just staring out of a window and doesn't know who you are. And
this is a man who would walk into a room and there would be strangers, and he would say, "Who needs to hear about Jesus Christ?" and would be ready to witness. And then, like you said, he became this person who was agitated and, would curse and, would be hateful to people, the people that he loved the most and loved him the most.
Yeah. And it's just, and so many of us we're going to experience it the longer we live. I understand that. And it's sad. And hopefully by the time that we're 10, 15 years from now, they'll have lots of breakthroughs that'll either repair some of the stuff, reverse it, or stop it. But we're just not there now, and it's going to get much worse, especially with our diet.
It's terrible. It is a terrible, terrible disease.
Yeah, it is. Because it robs you of not just your memories, it robs your family of who you once were at times, but it also robs you of your dignity.
Yeah.
And that's just an awful thing. Love hearing from all of you. You guys can text the program. A lot of stuff still to get to. Many of you, we still have your drag names coming in. We're talking about that, the drag names. And it's if you don't know what it is, your drag name is first animal, first street you lived on. Belle's name is Cindy.
Green Yards.
Ken.
Tiger Lindenwood.
And I'm Dubois, Britain. And if you miss any of the show, shame. You don't want to miss the show. We're having fun. That's what we do here. We talk about real stuff. Dementia, drag, you name it. We talk about it all. We got a lot of other stuff to get to, including next hour, what our state folks did when it came to the NCAA. That's the basketball and football and water polo. That's a sports thing. What they did, made a call, sent a letter. Strongly worded letter, too. That thing was strongly worded. That's probably going in somebody's file.
I'll show them.
Funniest thing in the show today.
Oh, strongly worded letter to the NCAA. We'll talk about that. A lot of other stuff, because kids, you know what? It's who we are, right? You're listening to the Dubois Britain Show. Bulwark Capital 2025 is here. And you're saying to yourself, Self, what am I going to do with my retirement? That's a good question. How about getting a second opinion? Talking to my buddies over at Bulwark. 866-779-RISK. My buddy Zach Abraham, he's Chief Investment Officer. So sit down, have a chat with you, and go over your retirement. Take a look at what's going on in there and say, hey, look, this is some of the things we think about doing, especially with what you want to do with your retirement, and go from there. No high-pressure sales, nothing like that. It's a second opinion, and then nothing wrong with a second opinion. And it's absolutely free. Worst-case scenario is you learn some stuff. That's the worst-case scenario. Who doesn't like that? Call 866-779-RISK today, 866-779-RISK, or you can check out everything they do at knowyourriskradio.com. That is KNOW, yourriskradio.com for Bulwark Capital. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not a guarantee. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 24378.
Hopefully, you've already had lunch because we're going to share what federal food inspectors say they found in ready-to-eat meats.
I bet it was gross.
Oh, it's coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Gross food. Starbucks. Want you to buy something, otherwise get out. Stop writing your awesome script.
Starbucks shifting its hangout policy that used to allow people to stay at its stores without making a purchase. The new chain policy now requiring a person to buy something in order to use the restrooms or sit in its cafes. The company says it's working to make its stores more welcoming. That after a drop-off in customers and a dip in sales.
Oh, no. A dip in sales?
Yeah,
What?
if you want to boost your sales, take away people's free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no doubt. Now they're all headed back to McDonald's, right? A lot of people go to McDonald's. So,
Yeah.
A lot of people just sit there all day.
That's actually true. I see people in the parking lot of different fast food restaurants that have on-site Wi-Fi, and they'll just be sitting in their car with their laptop out working on whatever they're working on, using McDonald's or whatever store they're in front of. They're using their Wi-Fi.
You cheap people. You go there, though, to write your great script, right? I want to go somewhere and write my great script. My best-selling book always is done at a coffee shop. That's why people go to there. And it's free. It's free Wi-Fi. That's it. And a $12 coffee now.
I'm writing my billion-dollar franchise on free Wi-Fi.
You know what I'd like to do? Just go in there one day with an old-school typewriter.
Absolutely. That would be so funny. And there would be some kid in there looking around going, what the hell's that thing he's banging on?
Could just totally do it. That'd be so awesome. That would be great. Let's do that. Let's do that, my friends. So if you're going to go to Starbucks, know that they're trying to make it so friendly and opening, but then basically what they said is we don't want homeless people loitering here and messing up our bathrooms. Which is, I mean, it's sad, but, like, have you ever been in some of those things? Oh, God. It's like, who died in here? The least you could do is remove the body. It's not very nice, child. Can I just say some of these names? So we're doing drag names.
Yeah.
Some of them are spectacular. And people are like, why are you doing drag names, huh? Because of the DEI insanity in the military. So we decided, well, you got to have a drag name. That should also be your military name. Some of
Hey,
you
look at 7351, iced lemon pound cake. That'd be a great drag name.
This right here, Twinkles Eastwood. Spectacular.
That's got to be the best one yet.
Boosty Gardner.
No, that's still not as good as
Luxembourg. Oh.
No, Twinkles Eastwood's the winner, man. There's no way around it.
Mr. Cheeks Gatewood, I presume. Cutie Beaver.
Booter Flatwoods.
Oh. Oh, my Lord.
Sparky Frogtown. Dusty Cecilia. Fritzy Third Street.
My name is Gigi Crossdale. What is your name? Queenie Maple. Princess Teetertown. Pat Cruisin'. Oh, God. See, this is it. What's up, Sergeant Pat Cruisin'? This is 5-star General Dubois Britton. These are great names. These are Buster Cherry, Candy Sprinkle Field. Just phenomenal. So just keep sending them in, guys. Right, we're with you, Pete. We like these names. Pete Hegseth taking one for the team today. Talk a bit about that. I didn't get to it this hour, but the surprise people that are helping in the fires in Los Angeles. Also, do you even know what contained means? Because a lot of people ask me, what's contained mean? So I asked some of my buddies, and there's a really good thing out there today on News Nation, and we'll play a little bit of that. A bunch of other stuff to get to as well. Reach out to us. Social media, obviously, at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, your Instagram, all that other stuff, Chad Benson Show TV, and follow along with us across, we got Super Talk TV, we got everything. I don't know if we're on, we on Rumble, are we on Twitch? What are we on? We're on all kinds of stuff.
We're on
Twitch.
everything.
We're on all kinds of stuff. So follow along there as well. We love hearing from you. And make sure you text the show. We try to keep up with everybody. This is the Chad Benson Show. It's News Talk 99.7.
2 o'clock on the dot this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, we've got some road construction blocking the left lane of 65 northbound. That's going to be at Moores Lane in Cool Springs. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. In our nation's capital, the House just passed a Republican measure. It bans transgender girls and women from playing sports that match their gender identity after the party leaned into the issue during the 2024 campaign. This bill is known as the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. And we're seeing what USDA food inspectors report they found in Boar's Head plants. Linked to this summer's Listeria outbreak that sickened more than 60 people in 19 states, including 10 people who died. Documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests by media show multiple incidents of meat and fat residue left on equipment and walls, dripping condensation falling on food, mold, insects, and other problems, and that dates back roughly 6 years. USDA officials say they have to up their game, promising to do better through broader testing, updated training and tools, increased inspections, more food safety reviews, and stronger oversight of state inspectors who act on behalf of the agency. Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing as President-elect Trump's nominee for Defense Secretary is wrapped up. Democrats tried to paint him as a sexist, adulterer, and someone who has a problem with booze. This is Hawaii Democrat U.S. Senator Mazie Hirono.
Will you resign as Secretary of Defense if you drink on the job, which is a 24/7 position?
I've made this commitment on behalf of the men and women I'm serving.
Will you resign as Secretary of Defense
I've made
if
this
you
commitment
drink
on
the
behalf
job?
of the men and women I'm serving.
I'm not
because it's the most important deployment
I'm not
of my
hearing an
life.
answer to my question, so I'm going to move on.
Hegseth responded to all attacks as being someone who is not perfect, but redeemed through his Christian faith. Former Presidents Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton will attend next week's inauguration, as will former First Ladies Laura Bush and Hillary Clinton. But Michelle Obama will not be there, according to her office. No reason was given for her not attending. This is the second presidential event in 2 weeks the former First Lady will have missed. She was noticeably absent from former President Jimmy Carter's funeral last week in Washington, where she would have been assigned to sit next to President-elect Trump. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
So, snow's come and gone, cold, water. What are you doing when it comes to your house? You got water leaks? You have cracks, foundation issues? USS, baby. That's what I'm talking about. United Structural Systems. You don't want to let something tiny that you can get ahead of get too far away from you. And something that goes from an easy fix to, oh my God, you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want mold, rot. Oh God, you don't want wood rot. It is awful. That's why you need USS. Now, let me tell you something. They're amazing to work with. 30,000 happy customers. Whether it is waterproofing, right? So you crawl space, basements, stabilization, foundation repair, whatever it is, let them come, give you an inspection, absolutely free. All right? They're not going to sell you anything crazy, unnecessary. It is the smart thing to do. They are the best. Call them today. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. Or check them out online at ussTN.com. Thunderstruck. There are fires. California. The wind, while bad, hasn't done as much damage as I think some people thought it might do, but they expect to pick up later on this afternoon, overnight tonight and through tomorrow. So another probably 36 plus hours of potential of bad things happening. And one of the things that you hear is it under control? How controlled is it? And so if you want to know how controlled it is, this guy, his name Chad Hansen, very cool name. I don't know if that's his drag name, but Chad he's an ecological guy, right? So that's his jam, and he's a wildfire expert. So he's in the perfect place to do it. Like you wouldn't want to be a wildfire expert in the Antarctic, not happening. But in California, absolutely. So what is controlled?
And when a fire is 0% contained, it either means it just started or it's been burning for some time, but it's been burning under extreme fire weather, very dry air, dry conditions, high winds, where it's not possible for firefighters to actually get any control lines, which is the percent containment. They can't get any bulldozer lines or any hand lines with the fire tools or use other natural landscape features to get containment because the embers are being blown by the winds far in advance of the fire lines and creating new spot fires that are leapfrogging one over the other. And in circumstances like that, all they can do is try to help people safely evacuate, people and their animals, and make that the priority and do some structure defense whenever possible. But that has to be the priority because containing the fire in conditions like that is simply an impossibility.
So it's literally the wind's too strong. These embers and stuff are going to get away. We can't build a fire line. We can't build a break because it's going to hop us. And you've seen it. If you've ever seen some of these crazy wildfires, they'll hop over like a highway. And you think, there's no way. But that's the wind part of it. So what they do, and I was talking to my buddy, he's like, look, our job, get people out. If we can save a structure, great. People, pets, get, bounce, go. That's what it is. Because we're not going to be able to stop it. You're always trying to stay a step ahead of it. And that's why I always talk about nature messing you up, because nature will make it virtually impossible to get it under control, to get it to the point where you can, fight this thing in a real way unless it calms itself down. If nature's not doing that, if these winds just take off for the next 48 hours or so and decide to do what it does, it's an uphill battle.
A control line can be an area where the firefighters have done a backburn. They've done a line of burning to basically prevent the fire from crossing that, which under more mild fire weather, that can certainly work. It could be a bulldozer line that where they just remove the vegetation through a certain line and distance. It could be firefighters in there with hand tools, like big hose essentially, and moving the vegetation away. Sometimes a natural landscape feature like a river can count for that. If the fire is not crossing it, spotting over it, or actively burning and threatening to cross. So all those can be containment lines. But again, when you have a circumstance when you've got these extremely single digit relative humidity, wind gusts 40, 50, 60, 70 miles per hour or higher, then that is just not a possibility. In fact, you can actually see percent containment go down in circumstances like that sometimes. And
I've seen that where you'll see it and they look like they've got it 65% contained. It doesn't mean 65% of the fire's out, but they've got it to where essentially they're encircling it and they feel they've got the upper hand. The wind shifts and all of a sudden it drops back down to 10 or 15%. And then of course you've got the opportunity with, all of the helicopters, all of the planes, maybe getting ahead of some of the stuff even further.
When a fire is actively burning in extreme fire weather and moving through the landscape, it really won't stop it. But where it can be very effective is at the perimeter of a community, very close to a community. If they do repeated drops with water in a single line, I've seen that makes a significant difference in recent fires, and it really can save homes and lives in circumstances like that.
And that's what it means when they're talking about trying to contain stuff, right? Get it under control. It still goes back to no matter how good you fight some of these things, nature will play a much bigger role than people realize. And once that wind starts whipping, and right now it's been okay, so they're able to get on top of some of these things and prevent some of the ones that have the potential of growing bigger from growing. But some of the people doing that are people you wouldn't think about. California's a very odd place. It is. As much as, look, my family all lives there. My friends all live there, a lot of them. And, I was born and raised there. So there's portions of it I love. The politics, they've lost their blanking mind. But one of the cool things they do is a lot of the people you see out there fighting fires, they're not firemen. They're prisoners. I know that said, what? They're prisoners? Yeah. And they're out there fighting fires right now because there's a great program that California set up. And they have 35 of these camps. But then people are questioning, how much money? Why are they not getting any money? Why are they not getting some? They do get paid, but they're getting a tool that they're going to be able to use in life potentially. And it is a reward for their behavior in prison and the opportunity to get out and to fight these fires.
Meanwhile, as we talk about all these multi-million-dollar homes, there are some very important people on the fire lines who are finally getting to share their voice as well, in part thanks to a pretty big Twitch streamer, Hassan Piker. You might have already seen shots of inmates out there on the fire lines. Right now, there are like 900 to 1,000 of them. It's a program that's been around for a while here in California, but what is catching people's attention, well, part of it is the pay. It's like $10 a day.
And actually, what it is now, because they're 24 hours on and 24 hours off. So they're getting $24 a day. And I know that sounds, that's horrible. I get that. That I totally get. And we could talk about that later. But there's more to it than just that. Because if you're chosen to be one of these, you get to leave prison and you get to go to a camp. I think they have 35 of them in California. These camps are like an ecological camp. So it's like just being out in the middle of nowhere kind of, forest and stuff, and you practice all day. This is your job. You don't stay inside. You're not locked up. You're in a dormitory. You've got regular weights and workout facilities. You're learning a trade. And what it can do for these guys is massive.
Is it better than being in prison or no? It's way better because I was in a prison yard. I'm seeing guys get stabbed, get jumped, get beat up. The cops treat us like. But here, we get better treatment, right? They talk to us like humans. They talk to us like humans. We got a job. We're underpaid, but we got a job. Yeah. You feel me? And then the community comes out and shows us all kinds of love. We never received that growing up. We never received that kind of love, that kind of recognition for anything we've done. So now, doing this kind of stuff and all this love coming, that's life-changing.
And it is life-changing because they're learning how to do things as a team. They're learning a skill. And I know a lot of you are chiming in. Fire County is a show on CBS or something on Friday nights. And that's kind of what it is. A lot of the hotshots who ended up perishing in Arizona with the Yarnell fire, they were former inmates. But it's a career and an opportunity. They talk about the fact that you can get time knocked off your sentence. That's a big deal. You get visits that aren't prison visits. You don't have to worry, as many of them say, you don't have to worry about being shivved, right? You don't have to worry about, they've taken away the weights from prisoners in California because it's too dangerous. You can't have somebody in the weight yard, right, and handing them metal. But here, they've got real gyms and stuff. But it's giving them a sense of purpose, which I think is awesome because so much of this issue that we see, this recidivism rate, and I know Matt and I've talked about it before, and he works for that organization. It's great because it's about how do we get you out there. And my problem so many times with when I see a lot of this stuff is they'll teach you a trade in some of these prisons across the country. You may learn plumbing or HVAC, and their reward for being a good prisoner. So where you get a job and you get to go do these things, you get to learn. The problem is, how are you going to get a job? If you're a felon, who's going to allow you to be a plumber when you have to go, you have to get insurance on somebody, they'll do a background check, and they're not going to have a chance. So they're starting out in a position that is really not good. And the goal should be, how do we get him to the point where we can expunge this? How do we get him to the point where they're back in society and this does a hell of a job? And it's very interesting. There's 35 different camps in California. And when you go places, you'll see them out there. And they're out there in the front lines. And they'll work 24 hours straight, ready to roll. And then the pay thing, again, that's something that's been brought up. But because in California, you make a license plate, they give you like a nickel an hour or something, which is not good. But it's also something where the goal is to reward people for good behavior, to give them an opportunity to have a job. And this is that thing that they all go for. And they've now set up, there was a former guy who was left after being incarcerated, started his own company, and afterwards he takes a lot of these guys, trains them, and then gets them on in other firefighting crews across the nation, which is it's just incredible. Pete Hegseth, he's a guy, has got drilled today and is continuing to get drilled because he's a bad guy, apparently. No.
And people need to remember, Pete is a Nashville local now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think a lot of times people forget that he actually lives here.
Well, he wants to live in D.C., but with an attitude like this towards DEI, you're never going to do that.
Hegseth telling senators one area he's ready to gut: DEI initiatives. Hegseth saying he would, quote, tear out DEI and CRT initiatives root and branch out of institutions.
What is he, Mitch McConnell? We're going to get rid of Obamacare, root and branch. Just
root and branch.
Let's get rid of some stuff and stop talking about it.
Root and branch. We're going to get rid of the whole thing.
You better watch it, fella.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Mitch. Remember when he just froze?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Which time?
Yeah, no doubt. All these people are too damn old. By the way, I was reading Trump's cabinet picks are the youngest since HW. I think the average one's like 56 years old. The rest of them are 400. I mean, it's like, how old are 6,300 years old? I was there back in the day. I saw Lincoln get shot. So many. The Magna Carta, I wrote it. But, a lot of this stuff today is just all grandstanding. They're yelling at him. Do you like women? Do you like women? Me.
What do you have to say to the almost 400,000 women who are serving today about your position on whether they should be capable to rise through the highest ranks of our military?
Wouldn't that be funny? What do you have to say? That's what I have to say. I think you guys are clowns. I think this is a circus.
Senator, I would say I would be honored to have the opportunity to serve alongside you, shoulder to shoulder, men and women, black, white, all backgrounds, with a shared purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's not good enough. None of that is good enough. So I don't know what's the worst one. Was it Mazie Hirano? Was that her name? I always forget her name.
Yeah.
Didn't she was a copter pilot, right? Is she the one that lost her legs? I think so.
Don't know.
No, it was Duckworth that lost her legs.
Yeah, Tammy Duckworth. That's my bad. But she wants to know because, he's had some issues in the past with alcohol. And nobody, by the way, nobody else in D.C. has ever had an issue with women, with alcohol. Nobody has. They're just, teetotalers.
Yeah, if you think that stuff is going on, then, next you're going to try to tell me that politicians take bribes. So just shut up.
They don't do that.
Will you resign as Secretary of Defense if you drink on the job, which is a 24/7 position?
I've made this commitment on behalf of
Will
the
you
men and women I'm
resign
serving.
as Secretary of Defense
I've
if
made this
you
commitment
drink
on
the
behalf
job?
of the men and women I'm serving.
I'm not
because it's the
hearing-
most important deployment
I'm not
of my
hearing an
life.
answer to my question, so I'm going to move on.
Because it's a dumb question, and you're a dumbass for asking it. How about that? Wish somebody would just go that. It's a stupid question. So what are you going to tell me? Right. Thank you. What are you
You're
going to
out
tell
of
me?
order.
Out of order, sir. You're an idiot for asking that question. Would you resign if you drink water that is non-American water?
The entire point of that line of questioning was simply to score political points
That's it.
with her base.
That's all it is. Like, would you resign? All these jobs are 24/7, by the way. All of them are. What do you guys think he's going to do? Guys, I think we should attack some more today. I had a drink and I'm ready to throw down. Do you think that's what's going to happen? I don't know if he's going to be good or not. My assumption is he'll be better than what's going on now.
Mr. President, let me push the button. Just let me push this one time.
Hey, want to start a business? You're my best friend. I love you. You're my best friend. Your wife's really pretty. Look how tall your kid is. Jiminy crickets.
Let's just get some McDonald's.
You got the McDonald's in here? Fantastic. I like it. You guys are idiots. Coming up. Oh, man. We're going to talk a little bit about this. Bell handed it to me and walked in. We sent a strongly worded letter. By we, I mean our state legislators to the
Nobody, absolutely no one writes a better strongly worded letter than a Republican.
Yeah. And they did. They sent it over to the NCAA. We will talk about that, among other things. It's the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Raycon, best earbuds around. The everyday earbuds from Raycons are amazing. Let me tell you why. First and foremost, the fit, right? A great fit with bad sound? Ugh. Great sound with a bad fit? Ugh. Great in both? Oh, baby, that's what I'm talking about. 6 soft gel tips. They go right in your ears. Feel fantastic. On top of that, the sound quality second down, easy to control. They got little things like noise cancellation. It's right there, active, incredible. Also, awareness mode. Right? So if you want to hear what's going on, but still want to hear what's happening, right? In your podcast, whatever you're listening to, you can do that. Isolation mode, 8 hours of talk time, 32 hours of battery life, the best fit, the best sound. Kids, don't mess around. They're everyday earbuds from Raycon. You will love these. Now, I'm going to save you 15% right now and then get you a 30-day happiness guarantee. So if you're not happy, send them back. No questions asked. They give you your money back. But you're going to love these. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad today for the everyday earbuds from Raycon. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad.
In our nation's capital, the U.S. House just took action on a bill which supporters say protects women and girls' sports. This story and more coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We're going to talk about that coming up. Strongly worded letter. And that's probably going to go in your file. You don't want that.
No, sir.
I don't know where the file is because a lot of people have stuff in their files. Anybody here been a strongly worded letter put in their file?
Yes, actually, I have. And it wasn't written by the Republicans.
Oh, my goodness. That is spectacular. What's the other thing? A PIP, right? Performance Improvement Plan. You're going to prove what you're saying is, what you really should say is, I'm going to do a documentation so I can fire you plan. But we have to call it this.
How would you rate your performance?
Awesome. So freaking amazing.
I thought it was great until I got called in here. Now I'm having some questions.
The question should be, how much better can I get? I don't know. I don't know if I get any better. This is pretty much it. Like, I am right up there. That's just incredible. Like, I'm awesome. How about you? You sit down and you say, how would you rate your performance? And I would come in and go, how would you rate yours? Because I'm also giving you a PIP. This is going in my file.
Oh. Well, do I need to resign because I was drinking on the job?
Oh, God. That's what people... The whole thing with Pete Hegseth, now that I know how to pronounce his name, thank God he's sticking around. Would you ever have a drink ever in your life again? What?
Why would you answer that question at all? For what reason? Because if you don't drink anymore, your whole attitude is, with most people, is one day at a time. I'm not drinking today. We'll see about tomorrow. And they're trying to get him to say, no, I won't ever do this. I'm not ever going to backslide. I'm not going to trip up. I'm a perfect man. Don't worry.
The problem is flawed people asking flawed questions to other flawed people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's your utopia that you're hoping to get. It doesn't happen. There was one guy here, came here, he was perfect, and the next thing you know, they nailed him to a cross.
And what I love about this woman giving him crap about, this is a 24/7 job. Okay, go tell that to Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, I know.
That guy wasn't working 24/7.
Go tell that to the president of the United States who spent 35% of his presidency, wandering aimlessly, 30% of it, trying to be president.
10% trying to figure out how to get off the stage.
Yeah. And then the other 20% on vacation in Delaware.
And who goes to Delaware for vacation? Seriously.
I don't know. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. If you don't have cool beaches, like Florida's got cool beaches, South Carolina's got cool beaches, right? L.A., up and down the great beach. Oregon has cool beaches, but not water beaches. You're not going in the ocean. Like, that's neat. They got the rocks out there. So cool. California, they got beaches that are nice. Delaware, they got beaches for old people.
Which is why our president was going.
That's why our president's that.
Yeah, you can get eaten by a sea lion in Oregon.
Yeah, and sharks, man. Great whites.
Oh, yeah.
Great whites.
Why do you say that like it's a bad thing?
Sea lions, they're not cool.
No.
Have you ever seen them go after people like on docks and stuff? That's hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious.
That is.
That one pretty the one that went viral of the sea lion jumping out of the water, grabbing that girl and
that little girl yanking her back in. He did not like whatever she was doing.
Whatever she was throwing down, he wasn't having it.
He's like, hey, Chuck, watch this. I'm going to reach up and grab this little girl, snatch the life out of her. No, I'm not going to hurt her, though. I'm going to bring her down here. Hope she can swim, because that'll suck, right? And we'll be all over the news. But have you seen the one that is in, it's not a sea lion, it's an elephant seal, and he's in Australia?
No.
He goes to this town, and it's a small little town, and he just lives there. and I'm talking like 2 tons. He destroys people's homes. He destroys their boats. They'll come out, their boat's destroyed because he gets on it, and it starts to sink.
Yes.
It is hilarious.
How do you eat an elephant seal?
One bite at a time, baby. One bite at a time. Coming up on the magical program, we're going to talk about that strongly worded letter because the Republicans unanimously call on the NCAA to reverse policy allowing men to compete against women. I'm going to take a different approach. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top story. Still got that road construction blocking the left lane in Cool Springs if you're 65 northbound at Moores Lane. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Moments ago in our nation's capital, the new Republican-led House taking action that bans boys or men who identify as female from competing in women's sports that use federal funding, the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act.
On this vote, the yeas are 218, the nays are 206. One voted present. The bill is passed. That objection, motion reconsider is laid upon the table.
Now, 2 Democrats joined Republicans in supporting the bill, with a third Democrat, North Carolina's Don Davis, voting present. We are seeing USDA inspector reports on boar's head plants that make ready-to-eat meats linked to last summer's deadly Listeria outbreak. The documents released under Freedom of Information Act requests by media confirm previous reports that inspectors claim to have discovered mold, insects, liquid dripping from ceilings, and meat and fat residue on walls, floors, and equipment dating back 6 years. The USDA promises it will do better through broader testing, updated training and tools, increased inspections, more food safety reviews, and stronger oversight of state inspectors who act on behalf of the federal agency. And in our nation's capital today, Pete Hegseth appeared on Capitol Hill for a Senate confirmation hearing to be President-elect Trump's next defense secretary. Here's Olivia Rubin.
Hegseth facing a grilling at times, particularly from those female Democrat senators on the panel, about his past comments about women in combat roles. New Hampshire Senator Jean Shaheen.
What do you have to say to the almost 400,000 women who are serving today about your position on whether they should be capable to rise through the highest ranks of our military?
Hegseth saying he supports women in combat roles and that it was an issue of standards.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Rough greens for your dog. Whether your dog is little or big, whether your cat is fat and fluffy or one of those weird alien cats, Meow Greens. They're awesome. What is it? Supplement, powder form, sprinkle on top of your dog or cat's food. It's incredible. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all of this incredible stuff. You don't have to change a thing. If you love your animals like I love my animals, you want them healthy, you want them happy, you want their fur fluffy and great, their skin not to itch, and you want them to have energy with no aches and pains, and that's what Rough Greens delivers. So whether you have a cat or a dog, doesn't matter, try Meow Greens or Rough Greens. It is so simple to use. Sprinkle a little bit on top of their food. They will love the taste. You love what it does for them. Try a Jumpstart trial bag for free. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's a $20 value. That's it. Go to ruffgreens.com, use code CHAD to get your Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens, a $20 value, absolutely free. Ruffgreens.com, use code CHAD. Pete Hegseth staring down a group of elderly people who are angry.
Bunch of elderly alcoholics.
Liars, cheaters, and scumbags. You know who you are.
What do you have to say to the almost 400,000 women who are serving today
I'll fight you.
about your position on whether they should be capable to rise through the highest ranks of our military?
Senator, I would say I would be honored to have the opportunity to serve alongside you, shoulder to shoulder, men and women, black, white, all backgrounds, with a shared purpose.
You know what I hear? A bunch of women going, hey, ladies, shut up, all right? Don't be sending my daughter off to war because you want to make a point. Don't be doing that. Like, that's what I hear. It's like, what do you say? All these girls want to get out and fight. They're like, no, we don't. I don't know who thought that was the thing we want to do, but that ain't it.
The men don't even want to go fight.
No.
Nobody wants to have to do that job if it's not required of them.
You know, I talked to the guy, O'Neill, who killed Osama bin Laden. And I've had him on my show several times. Really cool guy. You know, the first thing you ask him is like, dude, you know, you're sitting there drinking a beer in like Wyoming or whatever, you're hanging out with your dad or whatever. Like, nobody's supposed to know what you've done. I mean, it's kind of, you know, keep it quiet. But he talks about, look, infantry, right? These guys and gals, he'll say it. Look, we're surgical. Like SEAL team, you know, recon, all these, we're surgical. We're going in and out. We're surgical. They're the ones seeing the action. And you're like, oh, yeah, women totally want to be at the front. That's what they want. That's what they desire.
Why should women in our military, if you were the Secretary of Defense, believe that they would have a fair shot and an equal opportunity to rise through the ranks? If on the one hand, you say that women are not competent, they make our military less effective, and on the other hand, you say, oh no, now that I've been nominated to be the Secretary of Defense, I've changed my view on women in the military.
You've got the votes, Pete. Just be honest with everybody. Look, do I think women should be in combat? No. Do I think they should be tied to, a stove and a washer? No. Are there roles? Absolutely. Should we lower the standards to bring people on? We're having to do that now with men, for God's sake. We can't find enough.
That's actually been going on for, what, almost close to 20 years now?
We can't find enough people. So, but it should be about the best of the best. And it's not DEI. It's not any of this. It's about, especially what they're talking about, the combat role, it's about killing and fighting. And Chris and I talked about it earlier. Don't go look it up, by the way. I shouldn't even mention it, but I'm going to. There's a video out there of a Ukrainian and Russian soldier, and they've run out of stuff, and they go to killing each other bare hand. No. And military people tell you, as strong as the women are, right? You're only strong as your weakest link, and that may be a guy. But there is a sense of a certain more protection, a certain more worry. I don't care. If you want to go fight, great. If you can do the job, fantastic. That being said, they're turning this into, he hates women. He's an alcoholic that hates women and the LGBT community. Like, that's what they're turning this into. Because that's what they do. It's all about the people asking the questions. And in keeping with that, we move on. Because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages, I have here in my hand a strongly worded letter from House Republicans right here in the state of Tennessee about Title IX. Girls taking on girls. Womb havers, if you will, taking on other womb havers. Yes, that's right. Strongly worded. And by the way, Bell gave it to me. They signed it. All of them signed it like it was their autographed. And this is to the NCAA, saying, look, no more. We're not doing this. We passed bills. We want you guys to get on board. with this, which is what they're doing. Why? Because girls will tell you, no, they don't want to compete with guys. They don't. If it's co-ed and you're playing softball and it's a Wednesday night, right? You're with your, your accounting, office has a softball team. Fantastic. But they're really not interested outside of that. And this is what we're talking about. It is, and I've got girls and I've got a boy. We talked about it yesterday. My son, he lives to hit. Like, that's his jam. He's an okay skater. He's a beast. Every time his mom sends me a picture of his hockey game, it's usually him sitting in the penalty box because he lit somebody up. He lit a guy up last year where it was spectacular. The stick flew over. I was so proud of him because he loves to hit, and he doesn't mind being hit. But 2 years ago, there were girls in his league, and you couldn't hit. You can hit now. And there's a difference, right? Because if there wasn't a difference, you know what we'd have? We'd just have the NHL, the NBA, MLS. We wouldn't have the Women's Soccer League. No. So you got a grandstand if you're AOC. So AOC took to the floor today to protect men who LARP as women in sports.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Madam Ranking Member.
You're welcome.
Here we are today, Republicans who have voted consistently against the Violence Against Women Act, who have taken away the right of all women to choose and have control over their own body.
Okay, so far nothing to do with sports. Here we go.
Who, as women, are bleeding out in parking lots across the country.
Anybody listening right now, you can text the program. Val, can you guys chime in? Have you gone to a parking lot and seen anybody bleeding out?
Yeah, there was like 7 or 8 women just laying in the road next to Walmart, and they were all like, "Oh, I'm bleeding out." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I wish I could help you."
I could help you. I got to step over you. You can't do that. You might get that on my car. I just want to make sure.
Margarine.
That is okay. Continue, AOC. I don't know how this has anything to do with. By the way, you're talking about women. If a guy believes he's a girl, I don't think he's going to bleed out in the parking lot. No matter how much he wants to believe he can have a baby so he can abort it, it can't happen.
Standing there, allowing us to die, now want to pretend today that they care about women. And why? To open up gender and, yes, genital examinations into little girls in this country in the so-called name of attacking trans girls.
No, it's not happening. Well, we know what we're talking about. Like my daughter, if she was to play soccer now, it'd be boys and girls. Zero problem with that. She's 6. If she's 15, I bet you we can tell you who the one is that we think may have been the boy before.
And to that, today, what we have to say are 2 words: not today. The majority right now says there's no place in this bill that says it opens up for genital examinations. Well, here's the thing. There's no enforcement mechanism in this bill. And when there is no enforcement mechanism, you open the door to every enforcement mechanism.
Hyperbole much? Just want to make sure.
It is just amazing how attractive she is, considering how stupid she is.
Listen here. First of all, I don't want you to say anything horrible about Sandy Cortez. She's a wonderful lady, a.k.a. AOC. And somebody got mad because they're like, Belle, are you letting somebody talk about AOC like this?
Hey, I can't help that she's dumb. It's just that she's hot.
She is. I mean, she's easy on the eyes, Now, is she easy on the eyes?
She ain't easy on the ears.
Because she's in a place where there's not a lot of? You know what I mean?
No, she is a raging socialist liberal moron, but she is beautiful.
Okay. I mean, she's got beautiful eyes, beautiful smile. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, she is, again, easy on these. But I was just saying, if you were to put her elsewhere. Is she a like Sweden 10? No. But she's a good-looking girl. I mean, we're going to give you that.
Trans girls are girls.
Boys.
And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all. I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time. But what this also opens the door for...
No idea where that went. If you guys have ever been to gym, I played co-ed sports. Continue.
Is for women to try to perform a very specific kind of femininity for the very kind of men who are drafting this bill, and to open up questioning of who is a woman because of how we look, how we present ourselves, and yes, what we choose to do with our bodies. I know who loves this bill. Yes, bigoted folks love this bill. Assaulters love this bill. But also, CEOs love this bill. Because Los Angeles is on fire right now. And this is the number one priority this majority has. Thank you, and I yield back.
What? Like, what are you talking about? You know what? Boys should be allowed to play in women's sports. California's on fire. Good night now.
In fact, you know what we need to do is we need to put together a hockey team that's all women and then let them play all boys. And we'll see how quickly they want to be on the same field.
What was it, Dave Portnoy last year? Did he offer $1 million?
I think so.
For the WNBA team to play like the best high school basketball team?
That
Some
sounds right.
ridiculous amount. And it's not about making the girls feel bad. It's about the reality that, yes, you know what? The average dude who plays at the Y, probably not as good as Caitlin Clark. I'm going to go out there and say that. But the D1 guy, smoker all day. She recognizes that. I saw somebody the other day, one of the big WNBA players, they asked her, could you take anybody one-on-one? And she goes, no. She goes, I couldn't even play the last guy on the bench. They would destroy me. Physically, just too strong. And that's what it's about. It's not about demonizing. And by the way, you shouldn't be demonizing a kid who's going through confusion and making them feel bad. None of that stuff should happen. That is awful. But we need to be real, okay, about this. The UN did a study. 900 medals have been lost in sports because of transgender athletes. It's not fair. You know what you don't hear? Those girls keep flipping the switch and getting themselves a weenie and winning the Olympics. Doesn't happen. And it's not going to happen. It isn't.
They don't even need to win. They just need to tie, and then they get first place.
Well, yes, that of course is with Leah Thomas. If you've ever seen Leah stand next to everybody, the dude, he is massive compared to them.
What is he, 6'2"?
Oh, yeah. Riley's what, 5'9", 5'10"? I mean, it's come on.
Not that I would know from having met her from coming into the station, even though she lives in Hendersonville.
She should probably.
Sorry, Riley. I just had to throw that out there.
But still, just the size advantage is very real. And this is not about demonizing somebody. You don't acknowledge they exist. No, I do. But recognize that when did the young women give up their right to say, you know what? This is our sport. We should be allowed to play and compete, and it's not fair. You should listen to us. Somewhere along the line, activists got a hold of people and said, nope, this is far more important, and we're going to discount your voice. We're going to wrap it up straight ahead here. Find out what Matt's drag name would be, because he is here. I saw him dressed to the nines. He's got this push-up bra on. He's got this long flowing dress. He looks delicious. We'll wrap up the show straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. We're back. Bell, tell me something fun.
I found out today that KISS has finally, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, settled their lawsuit with their wig maker that they've employed for the last 30 years.
Oh, no.
And I just got to say, it's such a joy to hear that they've come together and found terms.
They wore wigs?
Well, you don't have a wig master, so you can tune your guitar.
Oh, man.
You know, in the spirit of this news, I think I'm going to go out and I'm going to party tonight.
Nice.
I think you should. You don't do that enough as it is.
I'm going to party every day.
And rock and roll all night?
All night.
I screwed it up.
You did. That's okay.
It's
Still
okay.
funny.
Such a white guy.
I screwed it. I never got KISS.
What?
I mean, I never got them. I just...
You
I
know
mean,
what?
I Want to Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day is the most annoying song ever written.
And the reason?
With the possible exception of We Built This City.
Dear sir.
Excuse me. Oh, excuse
this
me.
is coming from somebody who plays... what's her name? Rebecca Black. You play Rebecca Black on your
purpose.
I just heard you say something about Starship that I don't think you should. I mean, that movie Mannequin was amazing.
Mutt Lang wrote that song.
Andrew McCarthy.
Andrew McCarthy. This is Andrew McCarthy. I'm going to do this in the camera. This is Andrew McCarthy's one movie. This is his go-to movie. In every movie that he's in, if you watch Andrew McCarthy, whatever the movie is, whether it's Pretty in Pink, Mannequin,
St. Elmo's Fire,
St. Elmo's Fire,
or whatever, he has this move. When he really wants you to know, he goes.
That's right.
He does these eyes.
Cross-eyed a little bit, too.
He does these eyes like, oh, I'm really emotional right now.
As he should be. My
Well,
God.
Well,
I
he's
liked him
mentally...
with Jacqueline Bisset in Class.
Class was a great. That was
so
Rob
good.
Lowe, too, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
my God. I had the hots for Jacqueline Bisset.
Oh, bad.
Yeah,
who
his
didn't?
eyes got real big in
Yeah,
that
they
one.
did.
I'd break her hip now. So we've got that going for us.
I see you're trashing up noon to 3. That's nice.
So we are. Hey, what's your drag name? I'm Dubois Britain.
Like that would be you're talking about my first pet and the street that I grew up on.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I'm Peppy Earl.
Oh, it's a great name.
Which I'm just going to go ahead and say the Earl of Peppy.
The Earl of. I like that. Young Bell, tell us, everybody, what's your name, sir?
Cindy Greenyards.
Greenyards, right?
Cindy
He's
Greenyards.
the Zsa Zsa
It's kind of
Gabor.
sad sounding, isn't it?
And of course, Ken, tell us your name.
Mr.
Tiger Lindenwood.
Lindenwood?
Yeah.
That's actually really good.
Yeah, we had some great ones.
Nice.
We did. We had that's funny, man. Serious stuff, you'll get a few texts. Wacky stuff, okay, let me tell you about mine, right?
Well, that's no question.
No question, indeed. What are you talking about today?
We'll give an update on the fires. Obviously, that's very important, and we'll continue to do that. It's the first day of the legislative session. We were anticipating a visit. We've got a visit with Glenn Jacobs. He's stopping by. Glenn Jacobs, Kane, you wrestling fan?
Is he coming in?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You can stick around if you want to.
What time?
4 o'clock.
Okay.
So Glenn Jacobs, who is now the mayor of Knox County and is reportedly considering a run for governor of the state of Tennessee in 2026, will be by to talk about the legislative session and some of the other things going on. We were anticipating a visit from the governor today via phone, and he canceled on me. But there's a reason why.
Did you cancel on him, kind of?
Well, kind of. We mutually, you know what? That's a better way of putting it, Chad Benson. You talk for a living. So we mutually agreed that it would not be in anyone's benefit for him to be on today.
You mutually uncoupled for the day.
For the day, but he's coming in studio reportedly tomorrow, which I don't know.
Reconciliation.
So he didn't have time for you today?
No, he had time for us. He just wasn't going to be able to talk about something that I know is going to happen.
Got it.
Because that announcement's not coming till in the morning, and because
talked about yesterday. It's a very special announcement.
It's a special announcement, and they've got to have a number of sessions to discuss when they're going to make the announcement.
It's a special one, so you got to make sure
it's a big-time special announcement. It's not a general announcement.
No, not a regular old announcement.
Not a normal.
No, you got to make a
old,
special kind of announcement.
It's a special thing that we're announcing.
Bring people in for that kind of session.
Apparently not announcing it until tomorrow, so there you go. So.
What the hell is that DVD?
It was a gift that someone sent me. This was it's called Losing Our Sons. The people need to know. I don't know. A gentleman who listens to the show. Listen, this is the way to correspond with Matt Murphy, though. This gets my attention. Matt, I don't believe that we've ever met, but I'm an avid listener, and I thoroughly enjoy your show. Well, I'm going to read the rest of that email.
Absolutely.
If you start off by calling me an a-hole,
that's
I'll read that email too, actually.
Yeah. If you start out with, that's a lot of white powder, I'll tell you what. By the way, Ken, Ken, you got to tell everybody about the cocaine and the teacher. That's a story and a half.
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear about that.
Class.
Sixth grade class. It is a great one. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. We'll do it again tomorrow.